since we're dealing with Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein's outrageous hypocrisy, the other thing she accused me of was sexual harassment against her. And specifically, and this is an exact quote, or very close to exact quote, from the cease and desist demand letter that I received. I'm accused of threatening and defamatory conduct amounting to sexual harassment against Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein for blog posts that are critical of a sodomy fantasy that she posted to the internet some time ago. So, threatening and defamatory conduct amounting to sexual harassment against Reverend Weinstein for blog posts that criticize her own behavior that can actually be described as threatening and defamatory conduct amounting to sexual harassment of one Senator Bill Napoli. Allow me to run Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein's sodomy fantasy past your ears. This is an exact quote, or very close to exact quote, from the blog post in which she stridently criticized Senator Bill Napoli. So here goes. Here's my sodomy fantasy. South Dakota State Senator Bill Napoli anally impaled on the Statue of Liberty's torch. That's quite the sodomy fantasy, isn't it? Imagining a Republican senator anally impaled on the Statue of Liberty's torch. I mean, that is, you know, just incredible sodomy fantasy. And yet, you know, this woman is accusing me of sexually harassing her for criticizing that sodomy fantasy, for putting up blog posts that point out, you know, just how obscene and sadistic it is, and you know, even mock and ridicule her for you know, having had the gall to post that sodomy fantasy to the internet. But no, you know, I guess I underestimated Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein's unmitigated gall, because so many years later, she is, and I say is because she has yet to withdraw that accusation. Today, January 5th, 2014, Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein is accusing me of threatening and defamatory conduct amounting to sexual harassment against her for my blog posts that criticize her obscene and sadistic sodomy fantasy, which imagines South Dakota State Senator Bill Napoli anally impaled on the Statue of Liberty's torch. Now that is what I call outrageously hypocritical double standards. So, on that point, we may just wind up this monologue a bit. Okay, we're at just over 20 minutes into the second half hour of the protest. And as I said, we're off to a rip-roaring good start to 2014. Already had the first minor assault of the year, courtesy of one Margot Ellis, former president of the Unitarian Church in Montreal. You know, now that I think about it, now that I considering that Margot Ellis is actually a former president of the church, you know, one of the board members, one of the people who in the past has been involved in false allegations against me, falsely accusing me of assaulting people entering the church when I'd done no such thing, and then she assaults me. You know, maybe I will basically press the point, just to teach her and this church a little lesson. As a rule, I would normally not bother. I would just let that go. Because as I said, I'm not physically hurt, I'm not psychologically traumatized. It's no worse than being knocked down in a game of football or something. So it's, you know, it's not a good day. Hey, I just got my first assault of the year.
One of the good church-going people?
Yeah, one of the good church-going ladies. I got it all on video, so it should be fun on YouTube. So this woman, I was speaking to her earlier, and we had a good little chat. So I just thought I'd let her know that off to a really good start here in 2014 with the first and hopefully last physical assault of the year, but probably not. I'm trying to think though. I'm pretty sure I got through 2013 without any physical assaults on me by Unitarians. You know, as I said, you know, the assaults tend to be the fairly low-end variety, so you know, some of them I even forget, you know. But honestly, off the top of my head right now, I can't remember a physical assault from a Unitarian church member here in Montreal in 2013. But who knows? Maybe I'm forgetting one or two minor assaults. Nonetheless, 2014, another story altogether. We've got our first assault of the year, and you know, this woman actually managed to knock me right off my feet. You know, I saw it coming. I braced myself, but she's a hefty woman, you know, and she barged straight into me and managed to knock me off balance on my ass. Good for her. She's the one who's going to look stupid, not me. I gave her lots of room to walk past me. I was not in her way. There was lots of room on the sidewalk. But this is brings me to another thing. Is this is not the first time when Unitarian Universalists have claimed, you know, that I'm in their way when in fact I've made room for them. This is by no means the first time that this has happened. And this brings to mind an earlier assault and theft by a fellow known as Kenneth Howard QC. And the QC at the end of Kenneth Howard's name stands for Queen's Counsel. We're talking about a Queen's Counsel lawyer here. So what happened with Kenneth Howard QC is that, to try and make a longer story short, Kenneth Howard QC, I have reason to believe, was involved in the church's attempt to get rid of me by accusing me of the crime of disrupting the order and solemnity of church services. And that turned out to be a totally unsuccessful attempt to shut down my protest. So some months after I had been arrested in December of 2000, Kenneth Howard QC is walking towards me. Well, actually, no, there's actually two situations here. Okay, so yes, the first situation is I'm about here. Kenneth Howard's walking towards me, and we can see my green garbage bag there in the background. Well, similar situation. I had a blue recycling bag for my picket signs basically down on the grass because it was in the spring. So he snatched up the blue recycling bag and started walking into the church with it. So I informed Kenneth Howard that that bag was for my picket signs and that I wanted it back. He refused to give it back. He said it was trash and he was getting rid of it. I said it wasn't trash, it was my picket sign bag, and that if he, you know, didn't hand it back to me. Oh yes, I actually, at that point I just asked him to hand it back to me. So what does he do? He hands the bag back to me. I put picket signs in my left hand, two of them, reached out with my right hand. He puts the bag in my right hand, and then he snatches the two picket signs that are in my left hand away from me and swishes them behind his back. So now he's got my picket signs in his hands behind his back. So I tell him, you know, well, I want my picket signs back. Oh, no, I'm confiscating them, you know. So it was when he said, you know, that he was confiscating my picket signs that I informed him, well, if you take my picket signs and you go into church with them, I'll have little choice but to report a theft. And at that point, he started going on. You know, I think prior to that, I didn't even know who or what he was, but he started going on about how he was a Queen's Counsel lawyer and nothing would happen and so on and so forth. I took a step towards him to see if I could just get my picket signs back by snatching them back, and when I did so, he put out his arm, the other arm, and shoved me in the middle of my chest and actually shoved me back against a pole. I don't believe it was this one. I think at the time where this garbage thing is, there actually was a pole here. I think it was a bus stop pole or something like that. So he shoved me up against the pole here. So I informed him, well, you know, now I can add assault to the accusations against you. You know, so if you don't give me back the picket signs, I will be charging you with theft and assault. Well, guess what? He went into the church with the picket signs. I called the police. Police came. To make a longer story short, Kenneth Howard QC was charged with theft and assault. He copped a plea. He was subjected to non-judicial treatment for his criminal acts. So now we're getting to the sidewalk blocking part. Sometime after that, after he'd, you know, been found guilty of theft and assault against me, had copped a plea, he's coming to church, and this time he's coming from the east towards me. I stepped to the outer part of the sidewalk, giving him plenty of room to walk past me. And as Margot Ellis did, instead of going into the church, he walked right up to me, stopped. He didn't actually run into me, but he walked right up in front of me, and he accused me of blocking him on the sidewalk, which I was doing no such thing. He had lots of room to walk past me. And at that point, I just looked at him and I said, how's my favorite petty criminal? And you should have seen his face. Man. And you know what? I never saw him again. We're coming to the end of this segment of video, and the guy stormed off. And I'm not joking, I never laid eyes on him ever again. And on that note, I think we're wrapping up this segment of video. So we're off to a pretty good start here in 2014. Definitely got some interesting YouTube videos to